fellowship today. I didn't really realize that it was falling just before Veterans Day and right after the election. But the more I think of it, the more I think that there's some appropriateness for both of those things. And I'm glad that Katina mentioned Veterans Day coming this week. And I want to give a special welcome to any veterans that we have joining us today. So this message is 4 years in the making. It's been stewing in my head for the last several, and I finally put it down on paper a few months ago. So Wednesday, November 9th, 2016, I woke up as usual to my radio alarm set to NPR News. The lead story on that morning was the results of the presidential election. As a public school teacher, as a union member, as a woman, as an environmentalist, as an LGBT ally, it would be an understatement to say that I was disappointed by the results. I was devastated. And as I lay in bed, a few tears running down my cheeks, I tried to summon the motivation to get up and go to work at a high school with teenagers, opinionated teenagers, socially unaware teenagers, tone deaf and inconsiderate teenagers. Not that all teenagers are, but they certainly seem to multiply around times like this. And I didn't know if I had the strength to face them with my professional persona intact. But what choice did I have, right? I mean, wallowing in bed wasn't going to change the results, and the students needed guidance and support on this day, some probably more than usual. So I took a deep breath and I said to myself, you can do this hard thing. These 6 words, you can do this hard thing, have gotten me through a lot of tough moments. I first heard them from my nephew several years before that. My nephew, Keegan, was diagnosed with autism when he was 3, and my sister and brother-in-law, both teachers, got him services early. And they enrolled him in the Montessori school in Eau Claire, part of the public school system there, knowing that Keegan would struggle in a typical school setting. Now, if you're not familiar with Montessori schools, though I imagine most UUs are, just a quick side note, Montessori schools function on the philosophy that children learn best from self-directed, hands-on, collaborative play. Teachers trained in the Montessori method offer children level-appropriate activities to engage them and to encourage their growth at their own pace. So students are always reaching a little outside their comfort zone and encountering tasks that are appropriately challenging. Keegan's teacher in his younger grades would circulate among the students' work and offer them this encouragement. You can do this hard thing. And I love that. She's encouraging the students, of course, as any teacher should. You can do this, you've got it. But she's also acknowledging the reality that what they are doing is hard for them. It's relative, right? The student using blocks to learn to count by tens is doing something that is easy for you or me, but hard for them. And so the teacher reminds them that they are ready for this challenge. They're capable of working on it and growing from it. You can do this hard thing. When Keegan told me about that, I started thinking about how I could use it with my own students. Surely they have mastered the writing the lower and uppercase alphabet letters, but my sophomores preparing a 5-minute persuasive speech, my seniors beginning a 10-page literary analysis essay, those are their hard things. And so when I introduce those assignments each year, I acknowledge and bolster my students' beliefs in themselves. We'll take it step by step. We'll practice with a partner. We'll work on thesis statements together. You can do this hard thing. And always at the end, there is celebration. You did it. That thing that seemed so hard before, you did it. I've got a friend who's one of those people I can have a real conversation with, you know? We only talk once every few months, but the conversation is always deep and always genuine. Her name is Jenny, and she works for Unity Hospice as a grief counselor. She is an amazing person. She spends every day working with people, spouses, parents, children, who've lost someone close to them, who are grieving. And she's good at it, really good. From my perspective, she does hard things every day. But as competent as Jenny is at talking about grief, something that is definitely a hard thing for me, she struggles with hard things too. And once while we were walking and talking, she shared with me that she was nervous about an upcoming conference she was going to. Not speaking at, just going to, because the conference was in Colorado, and Jenny had never flown alone before, never as a professional. So she was nervous about driving herself to the airport, about getting a taxi to her hotel, about spending the whole weekend on her own in a strange city. And so I shared Keegan's phrase with her. We talked about the scary parts of the trip. We talked about what she was excited about. And we kept reminding ourselves that she could do this hard thing, one step at a time. She could break the trip down into pieces, and she could do this hard thing. The morning Jenny left for her trip, she texted me, I'm off. I'm doing this hard thing. And she did. Jenny grew from that challenging experience, just as my students grow from the challenging experience of writing and delivering a speech. We've all heard the saying that growth begins at the edge of your comfort zone. I like to imagine my comfort zone like the target on a dartboard. The center is a really comfortable place to be. I know the center. I like the center. But when I start stepping out, when I edge to the next ring of the target and then to the next, I'm challenging myself to grow, to become a bit uncomfortable. And that's what makes things hard. What causes us anxiety or maybe even fear and uncertainty. But that's also what keeps us alive. UUs have historically leaned into things that challenge us spiritually and mentally. So I wonder, what does this look like in your life? What hard things do you have in front of you? A tough conversation with a family member? Going to a job interview? Dropping a child off at college for the first time? Taking on a new challenge at the gym? Just yesterday, a young man named Chris Nickick became the first person with Down syndrome to complete an Ironman triathlon, swimming 2.4 miles in open water, biking 112 miles, running 26.2 miles. I wonder how often along the way Chris questioned himself, his training, and how much he had to bolster himself and remind himself that he was prepared for this, that he could do this hard thing. In those moments in life, which we all have, which Chris had yesterday, where we wonder, am I ready? Am I strong enough? Can I get through this? Take a deep breath and reassure yourself with 6 words. You can do this hard thing.